Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Carlos D. I am an artist from Los Angeles, California. In this video, you're going to see me at the drawing table creating some art. The video is not intended to be instructional, but informative and entertaining. But if you learn something from it, then that's awesome. Joining me today again is my friend Octavio. Octavio, thanks for taking the time to hang out, brother.
Yeah, dude, good to be back.
Right on, man. So if you have any questions on the artwork that I'm doing, feel free, dude. But like most of, well, with the exception of a few of these episodes, it's really just talking about whatever, man. Nothing completely planned, with the exception of the Mars Volta ones that we did, and great conversations, of course. But anything you want to touch on?
No, man. Well, first I just wanted to say that I'm a fan of the podcast, dude.
Awesome.
I've listened to and enjoyed every single episode that you've put out. Every single one, including the one from this last Friday with Nabil.
Yeah.
And
cool, man. Thanks, dude.
Like, I don't want to say a podcast buff, but I listen to a ton of podcasts, bro.
Yeah.
Like my Apple Podcast
That app
list,
itself.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
Like just the amount of podcasts that I listen to. It's just a medium that I consume a lot. Probably more than it's up there with YouTube, I would say, in terms of what I consume. And
It's kind of like the road trip show,
Yeah.
right? Like on television you have the talk shows, where the podcasts are now the equivalent of that, but mobile, and you can and at your leisure,
and that's
right?
the beauty of it. You can have it in the background.
That's very cool, man.
You know, when I go on a walk, after I get up, or on the road, which I'm often on the road. It's just a perfect medium to have.
And those on Apple, are they followed by a video, or is it just the audio versions of them?
It's mostly audio, but a lot of them do both.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, the Lex Friedman podcast, he does both. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Same with I was gonna say Sam Harris. He puts them on YouTube, but it's just a picture. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Because he.
Oh, yeah.
He often,
so that's only audio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he often does interviews over the phone.
I see.
You know, but a lot of them are video and audio. I mostly listen to audio if I get the chance, or if I'm interested in something they're talking about, then I'll check the video.
Oh, okay, cool.
But just the fact that I often listen to podcasts while I'm on the road,
Yes.
it's usually audio.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge podcast fan, and like your podcast has quickly become one of my favorites.
Awesome, dude.
You know,
Cool,
like
man.
I legit enjoy listening to every single one, man.
Cool stuff,
And
dude.
in part is because I get to listen to my friends talking about, you know, art and different topics. But even the guests that you have had on there that are not, like, I don't know some of these people. Like, for instance, one of my favorite podcasts was with your cousin Anthony.
Okay.
And I've never met him personally. Although I want to take it back to, I'm not sure when this was, bro. Like, the first introduction to your cousin, well, not personally, but the first introduction to your cousin, I don't know if you remember this, was a video, a VHS video, and I'm thinking it's this cousin, but a VHS video your cousin made. It was like an anime with, dude, it had Zero as one of with the Smashing Pumpkins.
But yes, the song Zero by the Smashing Pumpkins. With Ninja Scroll.
Dude, Ninja Scroll,
Yes.
yeah. That was my introduction to the Smashing Pumpkins, dude.
Oh, wow.
That was the first time I had really heard like an entire Smashing Pumpkins song.
Dude, how cool, man.
And I was a fan ever since, man. Like,
oh, that's dope,
the
dude.
Smashing
I never knew that.
Yeah, no. Dude,
Awesome,
like,
dude.
The Smashing Pumpkins, I really grew to love them in high school. But my very first introduction was that video, dude.
That's so dope, dude.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
so cool, man.
And it was your cousin. I think he did it for a school project. No?
Yes, yeah. He was, at that time, he was studying to be an editor for videography or music videos. Of course, he being a big fan of music and anime. I'm the one that let him borrow Ninja Scroll.
Oh, nice.
And he dubbed it from the VHS Ninja Scroll that I used to have, and he dubbed it, and then he just overdubbed. He made basically a music video.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was sick,
it was a
dude.
badass,
It was sick, dude.
It was a badass
Yeah.
music video, dude. I was like, holy shit. And the
Yeah,
music went
man.
perfectly with it, dude.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, from there on, like, I loved the Smashing Pumpkins, man.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah. And obviously from there on, I went on to see them a couple of times.
And speaking of, man, they just put out a tour, huh? They just put the tickets out.
And they were playing, I think, also last year. I haven't had a chance to see them again, but I've seen them a couple of times,
Awesome.
and I've seen Billy. We've seen
Yes,
Billy Corgan
yes.
solo, and I've seen, like, what's funny is when A Perfect Circle toured with the Mars Volta, at that time they had James Iha as guitarist.
That's right. Yeah.
So I've seen, and this was all previous to me seeing the Smashing Pumpkins for the first time. So I saw James Iha with The Perfect Circle. I saw Jimmy Chamberlain with his own little side project. He had this thing called the Jimmy Chamberlain Complex.
Yeah, man.
And Jimmy Chamberlain was one of my favorite drummers of all time.
Fantastic album too.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
the one that got that for me, man. So I
Oh,
appreciate
okay,
that,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I remember when that was at the time when that was in Okinawa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and when I got back, you're like, you gotta hear this,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, damn, man. So Jimmy Chamberlain Complex. I don't know what year was that.
It must have been like 2004-ish.
2004-ish.
Yeah.
Anyone out there, check. Fantastic album. He has multiple artists to come on to play different songs, but he's the drummer throughout. Fantastic album.
Yeah.
Fantastic album.
So I had seen Jimmy with that and James Iha with The Perfect Circle. Basically the only member of the Smashing Pumpkins I've never gotten to see has Darcy.
Yeah.
Which I think she kind of went into obscurity, you know? Like did she kind of just fade away or?
Yeah, man. I think well, for the Smashing Pumpkin buffs, she was kind of like the reason why the Smashing Pumpkins broke up. Unfortunately, like a lot of rock star personalities, they suffer from drug addictions and these big issues that cause conflicts. And Billy Corgan, as far as I can recall, he kind of like put that ultimatum out there, like, yeah, either everybody gets clean or this is over with. And since then, I believe that yeah, man, she's never kind of like fully recovered, and same as you, I know nothing about her past that breakup. Not her being a part of any other project or group or anything like that, man.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
so I never saw the original lineup of the Smashing Pumpkins because Darcy was no longer a part of it and wasn't going to be a part of it. But I've noticed that over time, Billy Corgan would always choose like a female bassist because he had this Argentinian bassist called Paz Lencantin for Zwan. So he had that bassist
really?
for
I didn't
Zwan.
know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he had like Melissa Aftermar, I think it was.
Which Paz ended up with A Perfect Circle.
Oh, yeah, exactly. She was with a Perfect Circle. Yeah. But that's, I just wanted to say, like, thanks to your cousin, I'm a big fan of the Smashing
Pumpkins. Dude, I'm gonna if he still has that,
dude,
I'll post it, dude.
It would be
I'll
amazing.
share it. Yeah, I'll share it,
blew
man.
my mind then.
I hope he still has it, man, because
it wasn't just that though. It was 2 videos. Do you remember?
I don't know.
He's gonna remember, but it was 2 videos. One was that was the one that was like blew my freaking mind. The other one was Beautiful Disaster. Yeah.
And what was the video behind that? Do you recall?
I don't remember, dude. But I remember it was those 2, or maybe I'm now combining memories. It was a long, long, long time ago, bro. A long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, when do you figure you showed me that? What grade were we in?
Oh man, dude. I really don't remember. It must have been.
I think Ninja Scroll.
It must have been pre-high school.
Yeah.
It must have been pre-high school.
In my mind, it was middle school. Like,
yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah.
That's when you showed it to me.
So 90.
Because especially in the mid 90s is when I started to get maybe 93, possibly 93, 94, or pretty much it might have been kind of around the time that Zero was kind of making it big. Who knows? But in my mind, I think it was around middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I would have to agree.
Yeah, dude. And during
but I don't remember the second.
Yeah. So Ask your cousin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Again,
Oh, for sure, I'm gonna ask him.
I could
Yeah.
be combining memories, but for sure Zero was one of them. Amazing,
Yeah, dude.
badass, dude.
That was so sick,
It's just,
man.
and that was around the time when, because of my cousin's always been into comics and anime, so through him I would start getting
Okay.
into that world.
Cool.
And at that time, well, getting into high school, it's when Fatal Fury the movie came out.
Yeah, yeah. You showed me that.
Yeah, dude.
Which
yeah.
I have now on DVD.
Oh, nice. I haven't
sick,
seen
dude.
it in
Oh,
a
my
solid
goodness,
20
man.
years, bro.
Awesome movie.
It was badass,
Awesome
right?
anime, yeah.
Dude.
Still awesome.
Yeah, man. But yeah, thanks to your cousin Anthony, man.
Cool, dude.
It was through him that I got into the Smashing Pumpkins, and I loved hearing his experience with the way you experienced music back then. You know, like
yeah.
For me, I grew up, well, this is gonna date the hell out of me, but
Hey, man,
when
we're
I was a
grown.
little kid, it was about the cassettes. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
If I'm to go back as far as I can remember, like what was my first like cassette that I played the hell out of, it might have been Nirvana.
Oh.
Yeah, because they made it. They were huge. Bro.
Yeah.
They were huge in the
Do you remember? Did you get you got on the bus to go to middle school, right?
Yeah.
And there's always I can vividly recall the Cranberries.
Oh, okay.
Mostly
On the radio.
On the radio,
Yeah,
on the way to school, right?
I remember that too. I remember that too, dude.
A lot of Cranberries
whatever
playing.
I'm trying to remember the station. It's I'm not remembering it, but yeah, that was on rotation.
Yeah,
heavy
dude,
rotation,
dude,
dude.
heavy.
The Cranberries back in the day,
Yeah, but Nirvana, a lot of Nirvana, a lot of
cassette wise, that's what I remember.
Oh, okay.
At like playing the hell out of.
Awesome, dude.
Cassette wise, and your cousin was talking about how back in the day, in the AV, it was predominantly white, man, and it was. I recently came across a class picture of like the 6th grade or something, and I counted the students. There was the entire class was white, and I was one of like 3 Hispanics. There, you know, the stereotypical token black guy. There was a black kid.
Okay.
There was an Asian kid, and everybody, and the rest was white, dude.
Wow.
That was the AV. I grew up like because I started to go to school in the AV in the 3rd grade.
Wow.
And it was like pretty much.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes,
You could see what Anthony was talking about.
Oh yeah, dude! I was resonating with everything. I was like, yeah, dude.
That's
holy,
awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, but just the whole that experience of growing up and with that music and the way you experience the music, not just the sound, but with later, you know, with CDs. For me, that was when I really got into music. It was through CDs.
Same here.
And back then, when you bought a CD, there was art to the music. And one of the best bands to have ever done it, in my opinion, was the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes.
Like the Smashing Pumpkins album art was just badass, dude.
It was cool.
Yeah.
And it felt of that era too. Even today,
Yeah.
if you would look at it, it's not like a lot of digital work and stuff, but
exactly.
kind of collagey and outstanding stuff.
And that whole artistic approach went into their music videos.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And oh my God, what a great thing that you just said, dude. Because if you owned the CD, it connected even more pieces of the puzzle that was that band that you admired.
Yeah.
You knew why certain visuals were on the music video. And back then, the music video scene was it was a part of television.
Yeah.
MTV was literally a TV show where it was nothing but music, and like you made that connection. Like, oh man, that's so cool. Like there's 3 pieces to this puzzle. It's the music itself, the audible music itself, the physical CD booklet that you got, the artwork that's in there, the aesthetic of that album, and then the video where you have a moving piece to the music, and all that was just so cool together, man. Now, does that even happen nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like.
Well, a lot more people are purchasing vinyls now.
Oh, okay, vinyl's coming back.
Yeah,
and
which is cool. It's very cool. It's very cool
yeah.
that's happening.
Because it's a way to have it physical again. and the vinyl, it's an art piece, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So
And,
that's nice.
and the size of it too. I mean, it's
Yeah, perfect.
gorgeous.
It's a great,
Yeah,
great, great
dude.
art piece.
You just
But
hang that thing up on your wall, man. Yeah.
for me, part of the fun of music was discovering part of, you know, like buying the damn album, going home, opening it up, looking through the
Absolutely.
images, the lyrics,
Yeah,
you
man.
know.
Absolutely,
And
dude.
again, one of the best who have ever done it, in my opinion, was the Smashing
I
Pumpkins.
agree.
Just beautiful imagery, or the double disc,
I was just
Melancholy
gonna
and
say
Infinite
double
Sadness.
CDs, man. What a thing to have a possession of. What a thing to have in your hands, man. Uh, that a thick case opens up on both sides,
Hmm.
and you're just like, there's so much to take in this thing, man. I'm gonna spend the whole week just getting, so intimate with this new music, man. It was such a fantastic time, dude, for music. Yeah.
Do you remember their Smashing Pumpkins video for 33?
Uh, not quite at the
So
moment.
this video for 33, they shot the whole thing with photographs. That's why it looks the way it does. It looks kind of
Okay.
jumpy, skippy a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I know which one you're talking
But
about now. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
because it's shot like I think Billy Corgan's girlfriend at the time was a photographer,
Oh.
and she shot the entire thing. It was just photographs,
Oh.
old school photographs, and they just strung them all together into video.
That's
So they're
awesome.
moving,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's kind of like it's
like stop motion-ish.
stop motion-ish kind of, because they're photographs.
Yeah, that's.
I
so
thought it was
cool.
just a style until I read that's what it was.
Oh,
you know?
so it ended up being like a time lapse.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of like a time lapse. But that music video, 33, I remember Billy Corgan also mentioning that he intentionally made it to where the images directly reflected the words.
That's
Because
awesome.
oftentimes, you know, like, you'll watch a video and it has nothing to do with the
Absolutely.
lyrics.
Absolutely.
But for that video specifically, and if you go back and rewatch it, you'll see, like, every image lines up with the words he's saying at
that's
that moment.
fantastic,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Kind of like watching Pink Floyd and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and what is it, the Dorothy movie? What's it?
Oh yeah, the Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard
yeah,
of
yeah,
Oz
yeah.
and
Yeah, like the
Pink
way it
Floyd.
syncs up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When did you discover that?
It was in high school. It was a legend.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
And I watched a part of it. I never saw the whole thing until like sometime last year. I was like, let me check this whole thing out, just to bring back memories. But I saw it for the first time last year. The whole thing through. It's cool. It's interesting. Maybe our imagination is like working a little
Yeah, I
harder
mean-
for it because we want it to be true.
I'm sure
but
there's
it's cool.
I-
There's
I-
some correlations.
I've seen. I haven't seen the whole thing with Pink Floyd synced up. I'm sure there are some scenes where like, well, that doesn't quite line up.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
there are, yeah.
But it mostly does. That's
yeah.
hence the effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very cool.
But speaking of Pink Floyd, dude, it would have been amazing to kind of take it on a tangent for them to have been on Jodorowsky's
Man,
Dune.
yeah.
Just the fact that you mentioned that they were gonna do the soundtrack for that movie.
Yeah, man. If anyone is a fan of Dune, Dune, the films, even David Lynch, the film that he did in the 80s, and the new Denis Villeneuve, the newest one that he's, I suppose, filming the second part to, Dune. There's a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune. It's based on Alejandro Jodorowsky, who post this documentary ended up doing a lot of work with Mobius in the comic book scene, and he did the Incal, which is an amazing story. I've just read portions of it myself. It's long. It's like a long I would say it's more of a graphic novel really than a comic, but so anyway, but that's Alejandro Jodorowsky, and in that documentary Jodorowsky's Dune, Pink Floyd was set to one of the bands because he also had that
that's
other
right.
French band
That's right,
that was going to
yeah.
be I forgot their name, Malta or
Something along
something
those
like that,
lines.
right?
Yeah.
They were gonna do the music for the world of the Harkonnen, and Pink Floyd was gonna do the House Atreides music. Which, man, what an idea, dude! What a concept, man!
Dude, I mean, you told me like
Wow.
that's you were like, are you ready to watch the best documentary ever made? Usually that's like, it can never live up to it, but it kind of did, So it's amazing. Yeah.
In historical value
Mm.
of how much came from that, man, of Hollywood cinema. Alien, because of Dan O'Bannon. Um, he was recruited to be a part of Jodorowsky's Dune. Um, H.R. Geiger,
Slash HR, yeah.
the creature creator for Alien, was basically recruited by Alejandro Jodorowsky, from having recruited Salvador Dali
Jesus.
to play.
Jesus, yeah.
No more spoilers. Jodorowsky's Dune, ladies
Watch
and
it,
gentlemen.
yeah.
Highly recommend it. Go get it, dude. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Definitely check it out. But going back to the podcast itself, dude, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the podcast.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
I've loved every episode, dude. Every episode I've loved, and I've heard some episodes a couple of times. I've heard it.
Awesome, man. Very cool.
So
dude.
A good number of those views for sure are mine.
Awesome.
But yeah, and it's cool hearing my friends talk about their experiences with art, or just like, for instance, Jaime. I think he went into talking about his roots, and he found out about his native roots, and kind of dug into that. And do you, speaking of roots, have you ever taken the 23andMe test?
Not personally. My older brother did.
Oh, okay. Well,
and
so what was
there was a coincidentally, not coincidentally, there was like a 12 or 13%, which was the highest percentage of all wherever the bloodline
really?
Comes from.
Oh shit.
Was Italian.
Oh, nice.
And
so you went back to your roots then.
So yeah, I ended up being there for a year and a half in Florence, Italy, which was awesome. And other than that, I think there were some Portuguese in there. So those are the two ones that my brother mentioned to me that stood out to him, was that Italian and Portuguese. Or, I mean, it's understandable, reasonably right. We're Central America, so in the Central America, and I'm from El Salvador, I think there was a bigger occupancy of Europeans once Columbus, and the currency used to be Colón, which was named after Christopher Columbus, which his name, in Spanish is Cristobal Colón. So that's what the currency used to be, and that's now Bitcoin. The currency used to be Colón, as opposed to like a high native population, like the indigenous people there. Not like I when I went to where's the big Mayan population still in Mexico?
Yucatan.
In that area,
Cancun.
Cancun there. So
it's
I went
in the Yucatan.
Okay, so I went to
yeah.
Cancun for a friend's wedding. Fantastic area, but there's a strong presence of like, man, these, you could tell some of the people there, they're like, man, they look straight up Mayan, like what you would think of Mayan.
Some people still speak the language.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And well, that's why for me, like, it wasn't too surprising. In El Salvador, for me, I kind of like, in a way, like, I don't know what indigenous people from that region would look like, as opposed to like, people from the Yucatan. They look like they had that Mayan bloodline.
Well, I think the Mayan Empire extended through Central America. Definitely Guatemala.
Yeah,
Guatemala is very Mayan heavy.
Yes.
But it starts in the Yucatan.
Yes.
That whole southern Mexico, essentially.
Yes.
Southern Mexico into Guatemala.
Heavy in Guatemala. Yeah.
But it extends as far as Honduras.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Honduras and into El Salvador. How much, I don't know, or how many, because there are pyramids in El Salvador, right?
Yeah. Nothing huge, but that I just say that to say that it kind of doesn't surprise me to come up with this ratio that there's a higher percentage of our bloodline coming from Europe as opposed to indigenous.
But
no,
it's interesting. It's interesting to see.
And like, yourself?
I mean, yeah, I would. I was gonna say I would recommend it, but like if your brother did it, it's basically I would say essentially the same, right? It would have to be.
I think so because it's
unless
genetics.
unless you, some people inherit more portions of something than their siblings. I don't know how that works, especially, but I would figure it's essentially the same or very similar, right? Like
That's
if you took
interesting.
if
That's
you took the
interesting.
test, the percentage wise, would it be exactly the same, or is it possible that he, you know,
I
because
think it would. Now that you say
Mhm.
that you bring that
Yeah.
up to my awareness,
Yeah.
it would make more sense to me that there's a high probability
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it would change
There's,
because
there's
we don't look
some
exactly alike.
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like, for instance, me,
Some more dominant genes from the mother
yeah,
than the
dude.
father.
When
Yeah,
I was a little kid,
yeah.
I used to have blonde hair, and
Um,
over the years it got dark, and now it's
sure.
I mean, like it looks especially dark when I put gel on
Mm-hmm.
it. But and my brother had like reddish hair, and his hair stayed lighter, and my sister just had brown hair.
Mm.
So there's variance for sure. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so
just in
like
that. Yeah.
in other words, like did my sister inherit more of something down like than I
Yeah,
did, or
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
are the percentages? I would say they're probably similar, but how close they are, I don't know. That would be. I'd like for my brother to take the test because my brother is whiter than I am, so I'm sure he, if there is differences, he probably has more Euro than I do.
I
Yeah,
see.
mine was about 60% Euro, most of which is Iberian Peninsula,
Oh,
Spain,
okay.
Portugal.
Okay.
A little bit of Italian, a tiny bit of Nordic, which I was like, oh yeah, the Viking for sure.
That's
You know
cool.
what I mean? Like the funny one, a very interesting one that I loved was it had a very small percentage Mongolian, dude. I hit up the bill. I'm like, dude, I fucking it came up Mongolian,
family.
dude. Yeah, hell yeah, man. And another one which I was like, oh hell yeah, like very small percentage was Ashkenazi Jewish.
Oh,
So I was like,
interesting.
very small. I was like, dude, like probably 80% of my intelligence comes from that, from that 1%. You know what I mean? Like, but it's funny what you see in there, dude. I had essentially a mix of everything,
That's cool.
except Australoid. That's about it. Like I don't have any from Australia.
Yeah, but they're European.
Yeah, well, or indigenous.
Or the
Like
Aboriginal,
Aborigine,
sure.
you know, I don't have that, but you know,
Yeah.
I had
Okay.
a small percentage African, even
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
small percentage North African, basically a little of everything. But
Yeah,
the main
yeah.
portion was
That's
the
cool.
Spanish Iberian,
Okay.
and it also breaks down a lot of health and genetic reports. If you want, you can
Oh.
opt in. Like, do you want us to tell you if you're genetically predisposed to maybe
Baldness.
something? Yeah,
Sure.
thank God. Like, you know, the receding hairline. There's some of it, but like they said, oh, you're not. You know, the male pattern baldness is not in your genes. Like, oh, thank God. You know? So you know, my hair will just thin out over the years, but
Yeah.
yeah, it tells you also your muscle fiber type,
That's cool.
and that's where, like, for me, I think I had already mentioned to you, like, it'll say, like me, I had dominant fast twitch fibers,
Okay.
which is versus say someone who has slow twitch. It literally means they twitch slower, but the slow twitch fibers you can run longer because they don't fatigue
Sure.
as quick. With a fast twitch, that's like the power generating muscles.
Cool.
So you have power and speed, but you'll tire out. Like
Sure.
me, you know, when I'm playing soccer, dude,
Yeah.
and part of it is because I haven't been, you know, going to the gym or doing cardio, but like I can tire out quickly, man.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
after a quick sprint,
Mm-hmm.
I can tire out quickly. But it's interesting. I mean, if granted there are privacy concerns as with everything, but nothing too crazy. I mean, I'm not too much of a conspiracy theorist. Like, where
Like as to
some people are like, oh no, they're gonna store it in the database and
Oh.
they're gonna come after you or whatever.
or they're gonna clone you or something.
Or clone you. I mean, it's possible in the future. It's there now. They have the information.
Uh-huh.
So, but it's amazing what you find in there, and it's nice to see like part of your background. You know, part of your history.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just it's insane. Back to the variance, like how close can your brother or sister be to you?
Right.
Because get this blew my mind when I found this out. But just from your parents alone, from your mom and your dad, their combination of genetics is such, and for every pair out there in the world, is such that they can produce up to 70 trillion genetically unique offspring.
Wow.
70
That's
trillion,
gnarly,
dude.
man.
Just from your parents alone,
Yeah.
you know, you were one of the 1 in 70 trillion, and your brother and sisters,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So your parents alone can produce up to 70 trillion
That's gnarly, man.
genetically unique, such as a combination of
Yeah,
genes,
yeah.
that can happen. 70 trillion, dude. I mean, how many people have ever been born? They estimate about 100 billion humans have ever lived. 100 billion. 70 trillion, that's,
Damn.
if my math is correct, that's like 700 times more than the amount of humans that have ever lived.
Yeah,
that they calculate.
combinations of genetic code that have actually
Yeah.
become
So
alive.
the fact that you were born and not one of the other 70 trillion, that's like,
That's awesome.
talk about the possibilities of even existing.
Yeah.
That's one huge factor.
That's gnarly.
I've heard the
man.
number thrown out there that the odds of you existing are something like 1 in 400 trillion. Sounds but very possible. What the exact number is, of course, nobody knows.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's insane that for you to even exist, it's absolutely nuts. You know,
It's amazing.
when you
dude.
start considering not just your parents, but your parents were also 1 in 70 trillion
Sure.
just from their parents.
Sure.
And from there,
Keep pushing it
and
back,
so
yeah.
back to, go 100 million years, some dinosaur stepped on the wrong cockroach, like the chain of events that caused
Yeah.
over that long period of time, it changed something. You know what I mean? For me, like, the real butterfly effect is that kind of stuff, where a very seemingly small
Yeah, we're the effects of some crazy cause.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
We're just effect.
especially the further back you go, the smaller the effect can be.
Yeah.
So it's not an exaggeration to say, some dinosaur steps on the wrong bug, you might not exist.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because the animal that would have ate that bug and blah
Yeah,
blah blah
yeah,
and
yeah.
so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That chain of events led to, well, you didn't exist anymore. So thank God that happened at some point.
Yeah.
But it's just insane that I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say most people that in this, I mean, obviously based on what I just said, most people that could have been born were never born and will never be born.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
that could have. Yeah.
it's, I mean, again, we're 1 in 70 trillion. So he said, we're the lucky ones. We get to die, and that's a privilege. We get to experience death, and that's a good thing. Most people will never even live. Most people will never even live.
Well, it's funny that you say most people.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a non-existent thing in this context, because most humans that could be will never be.
Yeah.
Is what you mean.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Not most people. What is it you said? Most people will never live.
Most people that could have been will never be.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like something that never happened might never happen.
Well, I said I put an asterisk on that.
Okay.
I said it that way for a reason.
Okay.
It can spin off in an entirely different direction, but I said it that way for a reason.
Okay.
Maybe we'll get into it, but I think I know what you're saying. But I said it that way for a reason. Yeah. But anyway, the point is that
the basically what it boils down to is this is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
That whoever has self-awareness, because even of all the humans that do exist, not all humans have self-aware consciousness.
How do you mean by that? Can you?
Yeah, because
speak to that a bit?
Because of brain damage. Some people are in a coma. Some people's brains never develop for self-awareness. Handicapped children, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, all these states of consciousness that, though they may be aware of environment and aware that they have instincts, hunger, fear, joy, all this stuff, because of the state of mind that they occupy, right? Their state of consciousness. They're not self-aware. You can't teach certain persons in these states of consciousness anything. Um, Speaking that uh, personally, I think one of my greatest gurus is my little brother. He's got Down syndrome, wheelchair bound, unable to speak, unable to communicate in any way, shape, or form. Um, doesn't understand anything. At times, it's questionable. And the dude's, I think 20. He just turned 28.
Oh yeah. Oh shit.
So
Because I remember, like, well, I've known you for years
Yeah,
and
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Yeah. I
So-
remember him since he was a little kid.
So
yeah.
that dude right there has never spoken a single word. You know, does it? He's basically stuck in a 6-month-old uh, child's mind. Or that state of consciousness. He's that, and I say that he's my greatest guru because you ask that dude any question, and his response is the greatest response anyone could ever have. You ask him something, and he says not a damn thing. Nothing. Nothing. That is the greatest lesson I've ever learned from having a family member have this handicap, right? Have this incapability to be a fully self-aware human. Is that nothing? You can't call this dude any name. You can't say anything. You can't show him anything that would ever disturb him. Either make him happy or sad. In either way. But that state of consciousness right there, in my opinion, is close to a supreme. If only he were self-aware, and still that, damn, that would be the highest level of a Buddha that anyone could ever achieve. To be in a state of consciousness where you don't care to say anything to any other human, because in reality, it has no value. Speech has no value. Now, us as humans here, it does, because we need to communicate. You know, it's valuable for us to communicate with each other. But a human could survive if they were out there by themselves, decided to be, you know, people go on retreats or yogis retreat to mountains or whatever. You could be by yourself, completely by yourself, harvest your own foods and do your own thing, and be 100% okay. And no issues, no nothing. Okay, you wouldn't be around a community, you wouldn't be around that. But some people enjoy that. Some people enjoy being alone. So whenever I really think about the condition of my younger brother, I'm like, I wonder what it would be like to be a self-aware him, and to have self-awareness is a plus in that I can whatever I perceive to be joy, I can have that, and he cannot. I suppose he can feel pain. He will feel pain. So, but that's kind of like instinctive. If there's a stomach ache or something, you can kind of tell, right? That's the body's response to something not good. But to be a self-aware him, I'm like, man, that would be an amazing thing. An amazing thing.
Yeah, that's, and well, the height of ultimate, would you phrase ultimate self-awareness as what it means to be enlightened, or what do you think of when you think of enlightened? Like an enlightened individual, like the Buddha.
Yeah.
Let's say he became enlightened.
Honestly,
what does that mean?
Personally, I have no idea what that means, man.
Yeah.
I had no idea what. If anybody out there, send me a link to an enlightened human
Okay.
that claims to be enlightened, because
That's the thing. I mean, how could you know?
And what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
What does that mean,
Exactly.
right? If it when we hear the stories of a Buddha, many have been given that title. the most popular being
Siddhartha.
Siddhartha Gautama.
Mm.
Okay, but like, what did that mean? He went. I think our own imagination makes it feel like this dude must have some kind of superpowers afterward.
Yeah.
Where if we were to have been in that time and seen him, I think that he would just kind of say, give us the peace sign, and then just go about his
Yeah,
business.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
just kind of rather be alone.
Yeah.
um, I don't know what that means. Um,
Is this something you're concerned with? Like, I want to experience a state of enlightenment.
um, I don't think
If
so.
there is such a state to be achieved.
Yeah, I I had that curiosity
Mhm.
right around like 2016,
Mhm,
kind of
yeah.
when this whole mindset of mine began to overtake my awareness of wanting to figure out what what this life is, this experience of life, what it is. And yeah, I came across this, you know, the yogi pursuit of enlightenment, and I just kind of like, well, what is that? What does that mean? Um, do you, you know, can you fly afterwards? Like, can you shoot lasers out of your eyes afterwards? Like, well, what does that mean? I couldn't come to a conclusion of it uh, being something that makes you physically different. Um,
They might say, "Oh, that's not the point. Like it's not going to make you physically different.
uh-huh.
It's just a state of consciousness, I guess."
So
Yeah.
so in I think when I first became curious about enlightenment and what it was, what it would mean to be enlightened, um, I I couldn't conceive of a concept where you knew you were enlightened,
Mm-hmm.
where the one experiencing, again. I think that when we hear enlightenment, we, to include myself, initially I thought it was something that I could see
Mm.
and something that I could pick up on from another human. That's what I thought initially when I first started, right? When I
I thought it was
curiosity.
more of an internal thing.
Okay, so for
Yeah.
me, um, I don't think in that pursuit of information of enlightenment, my conclusion was an enlightened person is nobody.
Mm-hmm.
No, nobody can claim to be enlightened. I think enlightenment is something somebody else says about you
Mm-hmm.
because they think highly of you.
I mean, that's possible, but
That's what I concluded back then. Now I really haven't given it much thought, and I really don't.
mm,
I'm like, I don't really know.
mm.
My conclusion now is just I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's entirely possible for there to be a state of enlightenment. But
What do you perceive that to be?
I don't know, man.
Like, can you articulate?
I have no idea. That's the thing.
So what?
But the thing
What
is
comes
just,
to your mind?
The thing is just, I'm of the thought that just because I can't articulate it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Like I think, I think it's entirely possible that, let's say in the case of the Buddha,
Mhm.
he did become enlightened, and that is a state that one can achieve. And that state, it's the only way I could say is like you'll know when you get there. You know what I mean? Let's say he knows what it is to be enlightened. Obviously, I don't because as far as I'm concerned, I have not been enlightened. But
If we experiment, I've gone through this contemplation before. If we experiment with that thought, what could that possibly mean?
well, if you haven't experienced it, you wouldn't know.
So, how? I think that when we think of enlightenment, we think about meditation. Would you agree?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
So, uh, would you agree with enlightenment is something you reach through meditation?
Probably, I'm gonna guess that's mostly the case. There might be an exception that I can't think of, but that's probably mostly the case. Yeah.
Okay. So, in meditation, uh, I think from what I understand and from what I've practiced myself, a main goal is to try to um, come to a state of awareness, which you're still aware.
Mm-hmm.
You're not dozed off. You're not
Mm-hmm.
asleep. A state of being aware, but having no thoughts coming in to your awareness. You're just aware of silence. You're aware of darkness.
But
you're aware of
awareness
silence.
is that itself implies thinking. No, awareness. If you're aware,
No, right.
you know what I mean?
There, you can never not think.
Yeah.
I'm talking about thoughts.
Mhm.
Would you agree there's a difference? Thinking and thoughts.
Thinking of thoughts, as in.
Does it make sense? I feel like it's making sense to you, but you really don't know how I'm connecting it.
No, I'm saying.
This is the difference between thinking and thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Memories and imaginations are thought.
Uh-huh.
Thinking is, you see,
Yeah,
it's kind of making sense now, right? So
I see
thinking
what you
is probably that state that you're referring to as enlightenment,
Mhm.
where enlightenment highly probably happens in a state where there's no thoughts,
Mhm.
but there's just thinking. There's just the mind is awake, which is awareness. So you're aware that you're just turned on. You're aware that this machine is on,
Mhm.
but there's no thoughts. There's no memories, and there's no imagination going over here. I'm riding a rhino, or I'm picking fruit. Pointless imagination, but they just happen. The thoughts are coming in, one form or another, either a memory or an imagination. If enlightenment happens there, if that's what you mean, then enlightenment must be something that you get a piece of every now and then. So you cannot be enlightened.
Mhm.
You cannot be an enlightened being. Even if Buddha was hanging out with us right here, right now, and we're talking about sports, in that moment, he's not enlightened,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Because from that perspective, if enlightenment implies a meditative process to achieve, then that means it's just something you get a piece of every now
It's
and then.
not a permanent state.
Yeah, exactly.
Now.
So that's why I'm saying when that there's no person that can be enlightened.
Mhm.
You get a piece. You can go and grab some every now and then.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
But for me, that's just order, comfort, and peace. Just being calm, being chill. If you're meditating, then order, comfort, and peace have a different feel to it. It feels like every now and then somebody turns the volume off. But you can't hold, man. And at least for me, maybe there are yogis that can sustain that off button longer periods.
Speaking of which, like, so you had mentioned it, I think, with George, about like just dumb thoughts that come in, right? Throughout the day. It happens to all of us. Just useless,
daily, dude,
useless thoughts.
And I would argue that Buddha himself
Oh,
probably
no,
had the
100%.
same.
For sure.
Like, damn,
no
man,
doubt,
I gotta
no doubt in my mind.
More than likely, he sees that one dude. That's that one dude of the village, and he's like, "Damn, this guy's coming over here again." Like, oh man, I don't want to talk to this dude.
But
he's
like,
still the Buddha.
Speaking to that though,
Okay.
the thoughts just come in. This is gonna sound like a silly question.
Nope, never do.
No. It is in a way, but it's intended to sound silly.
Okay.
Like, why don't you just turn those thoughts off?
Man, that's a great question, dude. Why can't we? Right? I would say that everyone has a desire to, like, man, can I just stop? Can this damn mind stop doing that to me? Like, why are you doing that to? Like, why is me doing that to me? Right? In consciousness, there's the observer, and then there's whatever the heck that other dude is that keeps throwing trash. Because were you just the trash maker, you would just be going around without ever being bothered of any thought, and without ever having a desire to think anything, because it would just be thought.
But
just
see,
thought,
like
thought.
the
But because you're aware of a thought that's pointless, that disturbs you. At least it disturbs me, because I catch myself and I'm like, God damn it, man! Again, like, stop thinking that, man. And then I go, try to stay creative or do something else.
But to that, the reason I bring it up is the question was silly because the answer is, as far as we're concerned, we can't turn it off,
Yeah, yeah.
or we don't know how anyway.
Uh, we can't.
Just
I would say we can't sustain it.
Uh-huh.
You can turn it off through meditation, and at least for me,
Mhm.
or go in a coma. You pick. You know,
Okay.
you can't shut. You can't shut it off.
The flow of thoughts, just springing up.
Yeah, yeah. In meditation, I've gone through those points of silence, and I think it's those points of silence that people refer to as like you lose track of time, because you're aware. You're in meditation while actively meditating. There's a point where I no longer have an inner voice, right? Because generally I'm guiding myself through a meditation, and I mentioned it before in the conversation with Cynthia about meditation. I tell myself, okay, I gotta relax the top of my head, relax my forehead, relax my right. My inner voice is going on, and whenever a funky thought comes in, my inner voice is like, relax, 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 relax. I'm trying to tell myself, let's say it's the subconscious mind that's throwing stuff out there. It has no bad intentions, right? No intentions. That's just what it does. It produces either memories or imagination. I'm just my opinion. But my inner voice can respond to that activity of thoughts or imagination. And I tell myself in meditation, relax, relax, relax. That is the mantra that I try to use to suppress imagination and thoughts, because I want to get to that point of nothing but this is the interesting thing from my personal experiences, is that I'm never aware in that moment. It's only when I snap out of it that I'm like, oh, I had it. I had it. And then if I at times I would check the time and I'm like, man, I felt like I was passed out for like 15 minutes, but it's only been like 2 or 3 minutes. But it's, for me, it's never been, I'm aware when I'm silent. It's only like I become aware that I'm back to awareness, and I'm like, I just came from that place. Oh man, I just came from there. I couldn't sustain, because here I am talking to myself that I lost it. So I don't know if that's what's meant by enlightenment. I think that perhaps that's what it is, but
And how will you ever know anyway? You know what I mean? Because
Exactly,
you can't
exactly.
go inside the mind of the Buddha or whoever claims to
Exactly,
be enlightened. So yeah,
exactly.
ultimately, you won't really know.
So that's what I think. I
Yeah.
think that enlightenment is something someone says about you, as opposed to, because if somebody were to tell me, like, oh man, based on what you said, let's say there was a diagram and a chart of all, if you mark off all these check boxes of your experience, and you've done it, and you've meditated, and these are the hours that you've meditated, and this, and you've experienced all this, oh hey, here's your certificate, you're enlightened. If someone were to tell me that I'm enlightened based on all what I've shared of my personal experiences, my response would be like, who the hell knows? I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
But in someone from the outside looking in, judging me, I can understand why, because I do my best to not let anything bother me, to stay as peaceful and as calm as I can daily, which is nearly an impossible thing, even for me. That again, that I strive for that daily. Like some obstacle comes into my awareness, okay, I'll figure it out and work my way out of it. But I don't think it's something self-proclaiming. At least that's just my opinion. Just because I really don't know what it means, and if it is the only thing that I could conceive of it being, I think that's just something that you get a piece of every now and then.
Yeah, it's
that
very,
you can.
very possibly. I agree, dude. Continuing with the fan of the podcast,
Cool.
and just listening to, I've really enjoyed some of the George ones. Just you guys talking through the process of drawing and
Cool.
everything, man. And I had told Nabil, like, dude, like Carlos and you, like you guys have inspired me to
Awesome, man.
to want to create again, because it's something that I I, as a kid, that was pretty much my favorite thing to do is draw.
Awesome.
Like I just loved drawing as far back as I can remember. I don't know,
Do you remember what you would draw a
well,
lot
let's
of
say
mostly?
and I kept some of my drawings. So like some of
Oh, that's sick, dude.
when I was like a tiny little kid, it was like Thundercats
Awesome.
and the Muppet Babies.
Awesome.
You
Just
know?
like yeah, just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Hyman.
yeah. Jaime mentioned that. I'm like,
Awesome,
oh
dude.
shit, yeah. So, and then later I got really heavy into the Ninja Turtles.
Sweet.
And to this day, I saved a poster size like marker drawing of the Ninja Turtles I did.
Wow, dude,
It's
that's
funny
awesome.
because at one point, my brother and a neighbor kid, used the back of that to put a yard sale sign, like yard sale this way, And
Yeah.
what we would do is we would see a car coming and we kick the soccer ball. We kicked the soccer ball into the middle of the street. They would stop and then we would point at the
That's
at the
funny.
items at the
Yeah,
the
at
yard,
the yard
sale.
sale. That's funny.
And
Good tactic,
this
man.
dude in the truck came by. He's like, he looked at it. I'll give you 100 for all of it. And what do you think?
Wow.
We turned that shit down, dude.
Oh wow, dude.
Yeah, dude. Looking back, obviously,
That's
dumb
funny.
move, but he offered 100 for everything.
That's fun.
We turned him down, dude. We thought we had like $500 worth. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, dude. Like,
Interesting.
it's really inspired me to want to create again, and I did. So last night, I made a little piece, and I haven't drawn I haven't really made anything in probably 20 years now, but
Wow.
like you guys have really inspired me, and so
Awesome,
I
man.
did this one piece that's called. It's funny because you brought it up in the Nabil podcast. You brought up pointillism, which I did.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we
yeah.
had the same class but different periods.
Okay. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was Miss Holt.
Yes.
I think, right?
Yeah.
And we did the pointillism thing.
Yeah.
For pointillism, I did the Terminator, dude.
Oh,
And
sick.
the skull.
Wow.
I still have it. I gotta look
Oh,
for it.
wow, dude.
But what's funny is that in looking into that, it's actually called more technically stippling.
Okay.
Stippling.
Sure. Yeah.
It's pen and ink.
Yeah, the stippling technique.
Pointillism is more like brush and colors.
Okay.
That kind of thing. But
Okay.
yeah, so I kind of wanted to do something like that. I gave it a little bit of a spin. I've been experimenting with these little machines I made. with,
Awesome, dude.
With a tattoo machine
Cool.
to
Have that effect.
like have that
Yeah.
effect. So that's what I made there.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up to the end of the video. I would love to see it. I'm sure people that are art lovers in general, I think just by you saying that you kind of made your own machine,
Yeah,
it's definitely
dude,
sparking some interest.
I went deep down that rabbit hole, man.
Dope,
Deep,
man. Awesome,
deep.
dude.
I have probably 40 tattoo machines now.
Awesome, dude.
And I've experimented with like a couple hundred
Fantastic.
pens, man.
Fantastic.
But-
Well, let's if we can make it happen, dude, let's record a session of you
Oh, okay.
doing a piece, dude, and then
for
we'll
sure.
we'll share
for
it, you know?
sure, dude. For sure.
We'll share it, dude, for
Yeah.
another episode, man. Well, just wrapping things up here. Like always, to everyone out there, thank you very much for hanging out. If you enjoyed the video and you want to show some love, the best way to do so is to pick up some merch. Get yourself a t-shirt, a hoodie, or some stickers. A link to the shop will be in the description below. If you would like to contact me for a commission, you could do so through Instagram or through email. And lastly, feel free to share the video and spread the word about the channel. I greatly appreciate the support in helping the channel grow as an ongoing thing. Hopefully, as the channel makes progress, I can have more people sharing their artistic approach and their love for art. If not, then just someone who has a cool story to tell that can inspire others. Again, my intent with all this is just spreading positivity, and to find that this inspired you to get back to a drawing board.
Yeah, dude. It's been too long.
Awesome, dude. Awesome, man. I'm so glad to hear that, dude. Anything else in closing?
No, it's been good to be back, and shout out to everyone else in the podcast. I've enjoyed all of them, every single episode.
Great, man. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate that, and also thank you for all those that have taken some time to hang out and record these sessions. Everyone from the past, thank you so much. I look forward to some more in the future with all of you. I'm grateful for your friendship, and This has been awesome. It's been cool. So, to everyone out there in this amazing spiral, please take care of your mind, enjoy life, and be kind.